This is Kite Cutter TV with another presentation. We gotta talk about this. Okay, guys, here we go again. During the coronavirus pandemic and a crisis on the U.S. southern border, Joe Biden now decides to give TPS status to Venezuelans living in the country illegally. Now, if you know anything about TPS, it's temporary protective status. Now, the T in the temporary is bogus because, as we all know, in 2012, when President Obama created DACA, that was supposed to be a temporary solution. And here we are almost 10 years later, still going through legal battles with the DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. All right. This story goes on. U.S. protective status offers relief for Venezuelans living in Central Florida. It's actually the whole country. So Venezuelans around the whole country is getting temporary protective status. But as I said, this is probably not even going to end up being temporary, where they can legally work and live in the United States, taking away jobs from U.S. citizens and legal immigrants during this pandemic that has created an unemployment crisis. Okay, the U.S. becomes the second country to offer protective status to Venezuelan migrants. The Department of Homeland Security announced the U.S. will be granting temporary protective status, or TPS, to as many as 320,000 Venezuelans living in the country. 320,000 this man is giving temporary protective status to during a pandemic and an unemployment crisis. The decision by Biden administration to grant the protective status will allow for those undocumented Venezuelans to live and work legally in the U.S. I got nothing more to say about this one. It's self-explanatory. Common sense will let you know that this is bad policy. We got that and a lot more illegal immigration topics to get into. Check this out.
Breaking news, the Biden administration just approved temporary protective status for Venezuelans here in the U.S. who have fled the Maduro regime. TPS will keep tens of thousands of undocumented Venezuelans from being sent back. Let's go to Local 10's Glenna Milberg, live now with more on this developing story. Glenna.
For those who need this, Calvin, incredible news, a giant sigh of relief. We are talking about hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans in the U.S. and, of course, in South Florida, the largest neighborhoods of Venezuelans outside of Venezuela in the U.S. Numbers are hard to come by because a lot of them are here undocumented and living in the shadows. But today's announcement gives them relief temporarily. It was a campaign promise by the Biden administration, today kept.
Venezuelans have been escaping for South Florida for decades from dictatorships, Hugo Chavez, Nicolas Maduro. With temporary protected status designation, they are protected and permitted to live and work in the U.S. legally for 18 months. Immediate tweets from South Florida Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who called the move compassionate and bold. For this veteran local Venezuelan American journalist, the phone has been ringing off the hook.
People that are breathing in a sigh of relief that they are able to stay and be productive members of society right here in the United States.
For decades, Republican and Democratic presidents and administrations have tried to isolate or sanction and/or strong-arm Venezuela's increasingly authoritarian government, and though tens of thousands of others have gained TPS from countries racked by problems of instability, like Nicaragua, or devastation, like Haiti, Venezuelans here did not. Deportations continued, and only on former President Trump's last day in office did he grant Venezuelans deferred deportation.
They want to be productive, they want to work, they want to contribute to society and feel calm when they take their kids to school that they're not going to be deported.
So TPS differs from deferred deportation because now Venezuelans with TPS can actually travel back and forth as well. That has nothing to do with political asylum per se. It does last 18 months. It is renewable indefinitely, and the order today appears to apply only to those Venezuelans already in the U.S. right now and not going forward. I'm Glenna Milberg, live in Miami, Local 10 News.
Relief for so many. Thanks, Glenna.
Nearly 100,000 illegal migrants were apprehended at the southern border last month, which is the largest total for the month of February in 15 years. According to preliminary numbers that have not yet been officially released, the total is up by at least 22,000 from January of this year. CBP said that the exact numbers will be made public sometime next week. Officials are expecting the totals to continue to rise as Trump-era immigration policies have been reversed by President Joe Biden. Border Patrol agents caught more than 4,500 illegal migrants crossing the southern border in a single day last week and said that the influx of migrants who are not being tested for COVID-19 before being shipped into the interior of the country will soon be a humanitarian and a health crisis. Politicians on both sides of the aisle have been warning the Biden administration about the negative impact that his open borders policies have had on the United States, with some border town mayors even asking Biden to stop dropping illegal migrants off at bus stops in their cities. In addition, Senator Ron Johnson released a video from Yuma, Arizona, showing a steady stream of illegal migrants entering into the country.
You can see they're moving the detainees to transportation. Looks like there's a bus down the road. But you can see what's going on, brother. You can see the number of them that showed up.
Senator Johnson is calling this scene just the tip of the iceberg of the flood of migrants that the United States will see as a result of Biden's immigration overhaul and his catch and release policy, he said.
2 wanted felons are now behind bars after a Border Patrol altercation. Border Patrol agents arrested a man and a woman after fleeing the I-8 checkpoint. Squadrons found 2 handguns, bolt cutters, and other allegedly stolen items within the vehicle. The 2 approached the checkpoint near Pine Valley and briefly stopped at the primary inspection area when the 56-year-old male U.S. citizen driver suddenly sped off at a high rate of speed. Border Patrol quickly deployed a vehicle immobilization device. As the vehicle fled the checkpoint, the man continued driving erratically, and agents pursued him. Record checks revealed that both the driver and the passenger had extensive criminal histories, which include past felony convictions as well as outstanding felony warrants.
No hate, no fear! Immigrants are welcome here!
Mainers gathered in Portland as a part of De-Ice Maine, a group of people from around the state working to get U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement out of the state. Organizers told News Center Maine their purpose was to tell police that an ICE facility is being constructed in Scarborough and also to hold the people who brought them into the community accountable.
To have people call the property owner to let them know that this is not acceptable, that they should find a different tenant for the building.
Merrill also says that De-Ice Maine also wants the Scarborough Town Council to come out unanimously against the facility.
Joining us now with an exclusive announcement is that Attorney General Ashley Moody. Ashley, Attorney General, what prompted this action?
You know, I've been speaking for weeks now and alerting Americans to the fact that this administration is thumbing its nose to its responsibilities under federal law. It is required to deport criminal aliens that are here illegally, and it is just saying we're not going to do it anymore. First, they canceled Operation Talon, which targeted sex offenders here in the United States illegally. And now they've released guidance, which is basically releasing into our streets serious criminal offenders. They're canceling detainers and requiring our law enforcement leaders to release them back into our states. And this includes heroin traffickers, people that are breaking into homes, use of a firearm with some of these felonies. I mean, it's unbelievable the folks that our law enforcement leaders are required to release. My frustration has boiled over, and we're going to hold them accountable in federal court.
We have changed the policies of the last administration as it relates to unaccompanied children, but the majority of families, adults, the vast, vast majority are turned away at the border. And that is a message that clearly we need to continue to look for means and ways of getting out, more and more out to the region.
Congressman Biggs, your reaction to that?
No, Harris, that's just not true. I talked to the folks on the border regularly. That's just not true. They are letting basically everybody in. They're not turning away people right now. They're turning away a few, but under Title 42, but they're letting people in and they're citing them and releasing them. And that's what's happening here. They know there's a huge problem. That's why a couple of weeks ago, they opened up. They anticipated this surge. That's why they opened up additional facilities. I've seen some of those facilities when there was nobody in them. Those are now full, and they're going to keep getting full, more and more full. And just think about this. We're already almost at the same level that the highest level of apprehensions we ever did in the 2019 surge took place. That's where we are now. And we're not doing anything to slow it down. In fact, they're actually continuing to encourage people to come across.
It started before Biden even took office. As soon as the election was over, he promised amnesty to 11 million people. Here they come. We got spoiled with Donald Trump for the last 4 years. It's just Border Patrol is overwhelmed. Our communities are overwhelmed. They're busing them into our towns and dumping them off. They're not giving them bus tickets. They're just leaving them there.